This week in One Piece, OP11 price hike begins. The starter decks that are coming out in just 2 weeks have started to be revealed, finally. And this meta continues to see a surprising amount of variety. So, starting with the new cards, we'll go through the OP12 ones first, then we'll jump into the starter decks. First up, we have this Baby 5. Yellow 452k with Don Quixote Pirates type. Trigger, if your leader is multicolored, draw 2 cards. This card is fine. Its effect, obviously, the trigger is very good, but we don't really have a yellow Don Quixote Pirates type deck. Rosinante doesn't look to be going that route. He seems to be more of a lore-focused deck. So I really don't see where we're playing this. Although the trigger is not bad, you're sort of competing in that beige slot, where you just want a 2k with a good trigger. Next up, we have this Doflamingo. He's a yellow 8/8, 7 Warlord Don Quixote Pirates type character. If you have 2 or fewer life cards, this character gains Rush. And on your opponent's turn, on KO, you can place 1 card from the top of your deck onto the top of your life. So you get a heal. Very similar to something like a Kikunojo. So, I mean, this card is inherently strong. It's very generic. Gets a big swing immediately. And if your opponent tries to take it out, you get a heal. My doubts with this card come from there is so much competition in the yellow top end. I mean, in just the 8 cost slot, you're competing with 8 cost Kid, who trashes a life, and 8 cost Katakuri, who removes a really key threat. And then if you look at the other top end, you've got Ace, you've got Yamato, and you've got the Rushanel, all who have slightly different but equally powerful effects. I think this card is good. I really just don't see a perfect home for it. Maybe Queen, or maybe Vegapunk. I think Enel will prefer to play Katakuri, because dealing with some of your opponent's threats is much more important in that deck. Obviously, you have to give the nod that yes, this can be played in both Rosinante and Koala. This is at an 8 cost for the Koala deck. But really, I just think we potentially have better options, although this is just such a generically good card that we may see this in anything, but I don't think there is a standout home for it immediately. Next up, we have Bruchette Blow. This has got to be one of the last of Sanji's events. This is a 3 cost event with a Straw Hat Crew type. Activate main. If the number of Don cards on your field is equal to or less than the number on your opponent's, draw a card. Then give something -3. So, outside of Sanji, you're not playing this. This is basically just a downgrade on Gamma Knife. Yes, you draw a card. You've got to meet that condition. It's only -3. However, in Sanji, you can use this effect for just Don -1, which is pretty good. A 3k debuff with essentially no cost is definitely something that you could warrant playing. And you could combo it with a card like Gum Gum Lightning to then KO a 6,000 power or lower character. I don't think this card is too crazy, but I imagine we will see this in Sanji in some quantity. Next up, we got Ice Block Pheasant Peck. This is a 1 cost counter event with the Navy type. Counter, up to one of your leader or characters gets 4,000 power during the battle. Then, trash 1 card from your hand. Trigger, you may trash 1 card from your hand, draw 1 card. And remember with Kuzan, that counter effect turns into 4k, trash 1, draw 1. And the trigger turns into trash 1, draw another 1. So, pretty good. This reminds me of a more balanced version of Gum Gum Giant. Gum Gum Giant obviously replaces itself as well, whilst this Pheasant Peck will cost you a card in hand. But getting that 1 cycle can be pretty nice for just getting rid of a brick and maybe drawing yourself a 2k. I wouldn't be surprised to see this in the Kuzan deck in some quantity, especially because it is searchable off that 1 cost Tashigi. Next up, we have 2 Stored Style Lai Rashomon. This is a 1 cost event with the Straw Hat Crew type. Activate main, you may rest 2 Don, so it costs 3. KO 2 rested 4s. That's the same as Krieg's on-play effect, which can be pretty powerful into some decks like Zoro, Dofi, and Bello Betty. If your Zoro deck is struggling, or your other green deck, because this is not locked, if your green deck is struggling with some aggro, this is a really, really strong card. It's just going to depend where the meta is at when we get this set. Looking at OP11, there's a lot of massive characters, but there's also a fair amount of aggro. Both Bello Betty and Zoro, Red Zoro, are doing incredibly well, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we see this creep into decks at a couple of copies. Also nice that it has that Divine Departure effect, where it can be 3k for your leader. As we look at some Rayleigh cards, it really just seems like they're reprinting the entirety of the Red Zoro deck, but with extra steps. So this is a 0 cost event to never doubt that is power, former Roger Pirates type. Activate main, you may give 2 active Don cards to your Silver's Rayleigh. Then, your opponent cannot activate blocker if that leader or character attacks during this turn. So, essentially, this is Perfume Femur and or Diablo Jam, but for Rayleigh. I don't think you're ever playing this in a deck that only contains Rayleigh characters, however. Also, here's a 2k for one of your characters or your Rayleigh leader. So it's a nice card in the Rayleigh deck that you're probably going to play because you need those events. Not going to see any play outside of Rayleigh. And honestly, it's just kind of uninspired. Every single card that they're printing for Rayleigh just seems to have like an OP01 equivalent that they printed for Red Zoro back in the day. It's hard to get excited about cards like this. Next up, we have Slam Gibson. This is a 1-cost Supernova and Kid Pirates type event. Activate main, you may rest 5 of your Dons, so that's 6 total. If your leader is a Supernova, you can put a 9-cost or less in their life, top or bottom. So very similar to 8-cost Katakuri. Hits 1 higher, and does have that second effect like Divine Departure, where it can be a 3k counter event for your leader. This is currently locked to Captain Kidd and Green Yellow Law. Seems okay. If we particularly need to deal with 9 costs, you could play this. Although Katakuri is a very tough ass to beat that because that hits 8s and develops a massive unit. I'm not sure that this card will see much play, but it is a nice option to have if you are struggling with 9 costs. Next up, we've got this Crocodile. This is a 6/8 purple croc. 7 Warlords of the Sea, Baroque Works. Obviously intended for purple yellow Crocodile. On your opponent's attack, once per turn, Dom -1. If your leader has the Baroque Works type, give one of your leader or characters 2,000 power for the battle. Similar to the Baccarat effect, but instead of trashing a card, you do Dom -1. And then that will proc your leader Croc's effect, because you Dom -1. You can ramp one back as active, which you can then use for, I don't know, an Okama or some kind of other counter event. This card is fine. I think it will be decent for the purple yellow Croc deck. I don't think this effect is anywhere near powerful enough to make that deck really worth playing again. Although, if you're a purple yellow Croc fan and you think this is game changing, let me know in the comments. Next up, we have Calgara. And this one is also not game changing, but combined with a couple of the other cards that we've already seen from this set, in the 2-cost Shirahoshi and the Searcher event, this is quite interesting. This is a 5/6 1k Calgara. Jaya, Sky Island, Shandian Warrior. Your turn. When his card is removed from your or your opponent's life pile, draw a card. Then you cannot draw cards using your own effects during this turn. So this is like the blue-yellow Nami's leader effect on a guy, which is pretty cool. And obviously combos with your Calgara's leader effect very nicely, because you do Dom -1 when attacking. You play the Calgara, then you take the life, and then you draw a card with this Calgara's effect because you just took a life. Getting a guy and a bit of extra value is very much what Calgara is all about. He has the Wiper that does a search, he has the other Wiper that does a search, and he has obviously the Nolan that heals. And yes, this is Calgara character, so that will fulfill Nolan's condition to give you an extra sort of target for that Calgara, half of the Nolan's effect. Also, another useful target off of the Bell Ring to try and prevent that whiffing quite as much as it might have otherwise. I think this card will be very staple in Calgara, gets you extra value, fulfills your condition, and helps you whiff less. Moving on, we have this Odin. Welcome back, OP01 Luffy. This is really boring. 2/3 1k, Land of Wano, Kazuki Clan, Roger Pirates. Activate main once per turn. You may reveal 2 events. Rayleigh Classic. This character gains 2,000 power for the turn. It's the same as the Luffy, right? The Luffy gave himself 2 rested Dons, so he was a 2/5 with 1k counter. The Odin, you have to meet a condition, and he's a 2/5 with 1k counter. I don't expect this will see much success. Next up, we have Inuarashi, and this card is a little bit underwhelming as well. 6/7 1k with the Minx, Land of Wano, and Akazaya 9 types. Activate main, you may rest this character. Freezer 5. It's okay, it fulfills your leader condition for Carrot. You can play it, rest something, and then freeze it immediately with the combo of it, the Carrot leader effect and the Inuarashi effect. It's fine. It's not amazing in any way, but it does combo quite nicely with your Carrot's leader effect, so maybe. Now moving into the starter decks, and first up, let's talk about Purple Black Luffy. Firstly, this is the art that the Purple Black Luffy leader is getting in this deck. This looks awesome, man. I wish this was textured. It would just look even better, but this looks super, super clean. I think I actually prefer this to the full art, which is crazy. Anyway, this is a 6/7 Monkey D. Luffy Straw Hat Crew. No other types though, not supernovas, nothing like that. On play and when attacking, you can do Don -2, which is obviously inbuilt for your Purple Black Luffy. It's going to proc his leader effect. If your leader is multicolored and your opponent has 5 or more Don on the board, your Straw Hat Crew type leader's base power becomes 7k until the end of your opponent's next end phase. So the wording on some of these effects around end of your opponent's next turn, start of your next turn, they seem to be sort of coalescing this into the end of your opponent's next end phase. That's what I'm getting so far anyway, so we'll see if that continues, but it's just something cool to note. Of course, in Purple Black Luffy, this is just incredible. This is really what this leader needed. As soon as you're 7 on turn, or 6 if you didn't ramp, you can play this guy out and become 7k, in theory, for the rest of the game if this guy doesn't get removed. He does cost you your leader's effect. So if you wanted to do another Don -2, for example, playing out a Frankie blocker, or using something like a Gum Gum Lightning, you would then actually lose Don, which this leader is not used to losing Don, so maybe worth considering playing something like 5-cost Kid as well. We'll have to see. But this effect is clearly incredibly strong. As we look towards the future format, everything's getting bigger, so making this leader 7k power, I think is going to help him a lot. This is also incredibly intelligent card design because both Red Purple and Blue Purple Luffy, whilst they can use this, they only get half value because they're already at 6, so they only get a 1k buff because it sets to 7. It doesn't give plus 2000, which is good. Also, it doesn't stack, thank God. Green Purple Luffy can use this, but that's a lot of Don minus when combined with leader effect. So whilst he could go to 8, I don't think he will. You can't even play Black Maria in that deck because it's not a Straw Hat Crew. Nico Robin, I think, is probably the second best home for this character, and I am excited to give this Luffy a go in Nico Robin. I'm not sure quite how good it's going to be, but making your banish swing just 7 is strong at base, and making Robin less vulnerable to getting aggroed down, I think is something that's quite interesting. Speaking of Robins, here's a 3/4 2k Straw Hat Crew Robin. On play, Don -2, ramp 1 is active. And obviously combined with your leader effect, that's going to ramp you 2 active and 1 rested. So you'll be 1 higher than where you were at the start of your turn, with 2 of them active. It's basically a 2k version of this Zoro that was very, very good in the Purple Black Luffy deck. It probably doesn't replace Zoro, but having 8 copies of him, 4 of which are a 2k, that seems really, really nice for your consistency. General Frankie, I think is a little underwhelming. He's an 8/10 Straw Hat Crew. Brick. On play, Don -2, give up to 2 of your opponent's characters -2 for the turn. We already have this Brook that does this effect, and Brook does see a little bit of play. He obviously doesn't do it on the turn he comes down, but he does do it on every following turn, and you don't even have to return 2. If you want to return 2 for a Frankie blocker, well, you can just return 1 for the Brook, and it's not as costly. He also has counter, which is pretty nice. You've also got the option of Gamma Knife in these purple decks, which is searchable off the 1-cost lore. So I'm not really excited for this Frankie. He just seems a little bit too expensive for the effect that you get. Next up, we have this 7/9 Sober Mask Straw Hat Crew. If you have a Sangoro or Sanji character with 7,000 base power or more, give this card in your hand -5 cost, so it becomes a 2/9. On play, however, return all of your Sangoro and Sanji characters to the owner's hand. So, this is a weird card, right? The main combo you've got with this is you can play out the 7-cost Sanji, use his effect, get some rush action going, then on the following turn, you can attack with him, play the Sober Mask, pick him back up, then play him again. It's not the craziest thing in the world. I don't think this is likely to see much play, but it's kind of cool. Also, really funny to note that into Blackbeard, just a 2/9, because you don't have to pick up your Sanji. Kind of funny, that one. Last, for the Purple Luffy deck, we had this Chopper. He's a 3/4 1k Animal Straw Hat Crew. Blocker, on play, Don -2, you can rest one of your opponent's Don, or a 1 cost. Obviously, we're not interested in resting a 1 cost, but resting a Don into purple mirrors could be quite interesting for turning off Giant. Now we'll move on to Blackbeard. And first up, we've got this big Blackbeard, 7/8 Marshall D. Teach, Blackbeard Pirates, activate main, you arrest this character, KO 3. Have you heard that before? Yes, it very much reminds me of Jack, right? Having a Jack that's searchable, that seems just pretty good inherently in the Blackbeard deck. Blackbeard has played Jack, but one of the biggest problems with the Jack is just that you couldn't find it, so it was a little bit awkward sometimes. Also worth noting, this can KO your own characters. So in Blackbeard specifically, a lot of his guys have on KO draw a card. So for example, if you've got like a Doc Q on the board, and you just want to draw a card, you need to see something particular that you're not currently seeing, well, you can give it a go, KO your Doc Q, and maybe hit what you need. Also, on KO, add up to 1 black card from your trash to your hand. That's pretty juicy, that's pretty juicy. So let's compare to Jack, right? You don't have the +4 cost, which makes him worse into removal. You don't have the cycle every turn, so you're not going to get rid of your bricks and draw into more cards. However, when your opponent gets rid of this guy, you get to get anything from your trash. In the Blackbeard deck, that's more than likely going to be something like a 5-cost Kuzan or a Blackbeard 10-cost. However, you can play this in like a Lucci deck. In a Lucci deck, this is going to be very interesting to try over Jack to see which works out best. There's definitely arguments for either, but having a guy that just says like get anything in Lucci in particular sounds quite interesting. Moving on, we have this Kuzan. He's a 6/6 1k with the Blackbeard Pirates form and AV types. He's a blocker, and on KO, you can summon a Blackbeard type character with a cost of 5 or less from your trash as rested. So, of course, the main combo you're going to do with this is you're going to play this out, and at the end of your opponent's turn, when they're doing their last attack, you block with this, let him die, summon 5-cost Kuzan, who then draws a card and summons Burgess. In this way, you're going to get some pretty nuts value out of this one card. You get to block a hit, you get to draw a card, and you get to play a Burgess. And you get to swing with this 5/5 Kuzan, who's this... Man, it's pretty gross, honestly. The value you're going to get out of this card, and the fact that it has counter as well, it's kind of nuts. Also, you can summon a Van Augur if you just need some kind of removal, but you know that you can summon it off this Kuzan. Realistically, this Kuzan is almost always going to want to summon this Kuzan. Moving on, we have San Juan Wolf, Giant, Blackbeard Pirates, 4/6 1k, with an effect, which is quite weird. If your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, this character gains blocker and +1 cost for every 4 cards in your trash. So this guy is just going to be a really, really large blocker. In Blackbeard, this doesn't really matter, the extra cost, right? Because your opponent doesn't tend to be able to rest anything because it's all on plays. And you naturally shut off those on plays. So I'm not sure this plus cost is too crazy, but it is a nice little benefit. And on play, you do have to trash 1 card from your hand, but if you're Blackbeard, your on play effects don't fire. So this doesn't matter. Not really sure why this is here. If you wanted to play the 4/6 vanilla in a non-Blackbeard, I don't know. Maybe they're thinking for the future when they print another Blackbeard Pirates type leader that's not Blackbeard. I don't know. Weird one here, but the San Juan Wolf, I think he's alright. I don't think it's likely to see a ton of play. Avalo Pizarro is a 1/1 1k with a Blackbeard Pirates type. Activate main once per turn. You may rest one of your fuller lead cards. If your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, this character gains 4,000 power during this turn. On KO, draw a card. So, yes, this costs you the use of your stage. Don't be fooled, this is not Hachinosu. This is called fuller lead, I promise. But having just a 1/5, that when your opponent kills it, you draw a card, that honestly seems pretty good. Blackbeard's getting some interesting aggression tools. Space is a concern. I'm not sure how you're going to fit all these cool new cards into your Blackbeard deck. That deck was already pretty figured out. But I think Avalo Pizarro is definitely something you could consider. Katarina Devon is a 1/1 2k with a Blackbeard Pirates type. Activate main, you may trash this character. If your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, give something cost -1. On KO, draw a card. This is probably better than Shiryu, definitely worse than Stronger, and Blackbeard now also is playing this Caribou. I imagine we will see this come into the deck as your second searchable 2k, taking priority over the Shiryu, but I'm not sure this will be much more than a 2 of, given we have the Stronger and the Caribou already. Moving on to some of the leaks, we'll start with green. This is Law and Beppo. It's a 10/11 slash and strike type character with the Minx, Supernovas, and Heart Pirates types. 3 pretty decent types. On play, rest one of your opponent's characters. Then it will not become active in your opponent's next refresh phase. Then, if your opponent has 2 or more rested characters, your leader gains 2000 power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. Alright, let's tackle these effects one at a time. Resting anything, obviously very, very good. Freezing it immediately is quite powerful. And then buffing your leader, whichever one it is, to 7 for the turn, and your opponent's turn. Very good. Lots of effects all in one card. 10-11 stat line, also pretty good. And I wouldn't be surprised to see experimentation in a variety of leaders. It is worth noting you have a lot of competition at the top end of green. 8-cost Kid is a banger. This makes your leader 7, but Kid makes your leader 8, effectively. So, you know, there's that. 9-cost Shanks and 10-cost Dofi both can't deal with those upright characters in the same way that this can, but they do sort of advance your board state more. Dofi getting you out of 3 swings is crazy, and the 9-cost Shanks actually removing something can help your future turns be a little easier. However, I think the extra power that you get from this guy seems pretty worth trying at least. This is Slash, so you could search it in Zorro, although I think realistically Zorro seems much more about the mid-range, and then closing the game out with those big Mihawk blockers and Hody Jones. The thing where this is probably most exciting for me is in Carrot. Carrot never had a good searchable top end in the Minx type, and this is quite interesting. The fact this is searchable off your Wander at least makes me want to try Carrot with this card in it. How good will it be? We'll see, but this really does lend into Carrot's identity as being really heavily focused on freezing. You can also play this in both Bonnie and Law. This is a Supernova, so it's searchable off the 1-cost Bonnie and the 1-cost Luffy. I think in Law, we kind of just have some better options, although giving defense is okay. In Bonnie, it's a shame this doesn't restand a Don, because you won't have a Don open for your leader effect unless you've already managed to keep something like a Cavendish or a Smoker on the board. However, freezing a unit and giving you a 2k buff to your leader for the turn, it can't be overlooked how strong that is. I'm interested to see if this slots into these decks, because currently I'm not convinced. There's just a lot of competition. Moving on, we have X-Drake. He's a 5/5 2k with the Supernova, Navy, and Drake Pirates types. On play, if your leader has the Supernova type, rest a 5. Then, at the end of your turn, set 1 Don as active. Of course, this is intended for Bonnie. This is definitely better than both of the Apus. This can maybe help you deal with a little bit of board control, and also giving you that Don at the end of the turn is quite nice. I don't think you're going to be excited to play this out, but I think you would be likely to play this over Apu, at least in Bonnie. In Zorro, this is now probably the best searchable 2k we have. It's up there with that 3-cost Mihawk for sure. Kinemon's legs, that 4-cost Zorro and Hatchan are now out of the picture. X-Drake's got you trumped. Moving on to the yellow Yamato deck, we've got Izo. Land of Wano, former Whitebeard Pirates, 2/1 1k. Don X2, this character gains blocker. And do remember that your leader effect gives 2 rested Dons, so this is effectively for free. On play, your Land of Wano type leader gains Banish for this turn. So this is a side grade on Onami. Very nice that it's in type so you can search it with all of your Wano searchers. Also nice that you can make this a blocker for free. So on the turn you play this, you give your guy Banish, do that Banish swing, and then if that goes through, or if they're already at 3 life to begin with, then you can put a couple Dons on Izo and block a swing at least. The counterpoints, Onami, much easier to attack with, 2/3 stat line combined with your leader effect, swings for 5 for free. And the trigger is definitely something worth noting, carrying a 5 out of life is pretty good. I think in Yamato, the Izo is likely better than Onami, but we'll have to see, and who knows, you may even play both if you really want to be banishing. Moving on, we have Yamato. Land of Wano, 1/0 1k. Don X2, your turn, this character gains power plus 3000. So remember that combined with your leader effect, for effectively no cost, you can swing for 5, which is okay. On play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Land of Wano type card with the cost of 2 or more, and add it to your hand. Then bottom the rest. So it's a top 5 searcher for Wano, but only costs 2 or more. So can't get itself, can't get Momo, can't get Otama, and also can't get some of your events like Paradise Waterfall and You Can Be the Samurai. So this does have stiff competition in the Yamato deck. I do think this outclasses the Otama as a searcher because it can obviously get yellow cards. However, this Otama's a 2k, so we may end up playing this anyway. The Momo, I think, is strictly better. These tap searchers are just so good. Especially for 4 life leaders, getting out of one swing because these act as pseudo blockers is very strong. However, having 8 or even 12 good searchers is going to make this Yamato deck incredibly consistent. So this is pretty cool. Moving on to red, and this one, oof, you know I was excited for this one. This is Shanks. 4 Emperors, Red Hair Pirates, 9/10 brick. This character has -3 cost in your hand if your opponent has a character with an original power of 8,000 or more. This is a 6/10. And wait for this. On play, if your leader has the Red Hair Pirates type, or is Uta, which is pretty cool, your leader gains 2,000 power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. Man, making Shanks of all leaders a 7k? That sounds pretty scary, right? This is effectively a Newgate with upside, sometimes costing 6 in Shanks, and he's searchable. Man, this card's going to go crazy in Shanks, I've got no doubt. This especially punishes ramp decks, like Purple Luffy, who are cheating out those Luffy Taro's Eternal too early with, now I'm at 7 and I have a 10k unit on the board for 6 done. That's crazy. Outside of Shanks, this probably will see play in Red, Purple, Uta. It's a shame that he's not a film type character, because then it would be super searchable. But hey, it is what it is. You can also play this in Red Uta. Nobody's playing Red Uta. Once you get to 10 Don as well, you have some pretty cool options with this. You can go to 7 and play out Lucky Root. You could go to 7 and play out one of these other blockers, the Shanks, to get a 2k debuff. Or the Chopper, just have a 2k blocker. You can also go to 7 and leave a couple Dons open for something like a Red Hawk. Pretty cool. I think this card is very likely to see play, although we will have to work out what we're not playing in Shanks as a result, because you already have some really tasty top end, right? The 2 10-cost Shankses, Rayleigh, Beckman, Dragon, all very good cards. So it will be interesting to see sort of where this fits into Shanks' curve. Moving on with possibly the worst card revealed from any of these starter decks. This is a 1/2 1k Luffy. Film, Supernova Straw Hat Crew, activate main, you may rest 1 Don in this character. Give something -1000. Like, come on man. We have Otama, if you just want a debuff for 1 cost. And we have Hongo, if you want to tap, minus. I don't see where this is seeing play at all. This just kind of seems bad. It's not even in archetype. It's not even a Red Hair Pirate, so you can't search it off the Uta. Moving on to blue, and I've got a bit of deja vu with this one. This is Alvida, cross guild, if you 4/5 1k. If you have 2 more characters with an original cost of 5 or more, this character gets cost +1. Exactly the same as the Alvida that we had last week from OP12. On play, if your leader is buggy, draw 3 trash. This is just better than the old Alvida that we had revealed last week. And this one's coming out first for us in the West. Like, draw 3 trash 2. And being a 5 cost to fulfill your 10 cost buggies condition. For 4 Don. With counter. That seems pretty good to me. For the buggy deck. By contrast, this other Alvida has exactly the same text. Except instead of drawing 3 and trashing 2, you get a bottom of 1. Like, this is now awful. This Alvida, I sleep. This Alvida, real shit. This new one, I'm pretty excited for. That's going to give Buggy a lot more consistency in seeing his follow-up play on that 6 or 7 Don turn. And of course, because she does become 5, it lets you fulfill your Buggy's condition a little bit easier. Next up, we had Buggy himself. This is a 4/1 1k with the cross-guild type. Activate main, you may trash 1 card and trash this character. If your leader is Buggy, play a cost 6 or lower cross-guild character from your hand. So yes, this can cheat out 6 cost Mihawk on 4. However, this costs 3 cards to do so. It costs the Buggy, costs the card that you trash, and it costs the Mihawk out of hand. Like, yes, you're refilling your hand a little bit with this, but this is incredibly expensive. I'm really hoping we get another exciting 6 cost cross-guild character in this Buggy starter deck. Otherwise, this card, it's not that exciting, because outside of this Mihawk, you're really not cheating much value. Moving on to the tournament results, I know there was one event last week, but I couldn't find the results for it on either Eggman or Limitless. If you know where they are, let me know, we'll try and cover that next week. However, I do have quite a few Chinoise Cups all in this new format, so that's pretty exciting. Vegapunk won this one by Abster TCG, a well-known Vegapunk player and YouTuber. If you want to see some quality Vegapunk gameplay, make sure you check out Abster. This build, pretty cool, got some interesting inclusions. A couple of the Sandy blocker, just a generically good card. And one of the S-Snake, which can freeze, I believe this hits 5 or less, other than Luffy, which is quite cool against something like a Sanji and Pudding, if you can't remove it with the Nami. Other than that, this is quite similar to the list that I played of Vegapunk on the channel, so if you've already watched all of Abster's Vegapunk content, maybe check mine out as well. Next up, we had the winner case Chinoise Cup won by Oni TCG with Green Purple Luffy. This is an interesting Green Purple Luffy list. I think the main thing to note is full playset Frankie. I sort of think of this as a high roll card, but when you get this after your Sanji and Pudding, you just have so much Don, it's kind of nuts. Also, only 3 of the Searcher event, so maybe slightly less consistent, but realistically, one Searcher event, not going to make the biggest amount of difference. Next up, we had WP Captain, who won number 38 with Zoro. This is a very, very standard looking Zoro list, incorporating the new EBO2 chopper, but nothing else too funky. And then we had Chinoise Cup number 39, which was won by Rutger Uwe with Lucci. These cards down the bottom that you can't see, this is Tempest Kick, and this is Hina. Pretty interesting build of Lucci with just 1 Jack and 4 Kaidos. Kind of hedging his bets for Blackbeard a bit, I guess. And, you know, this Kaido is very, very good into Blackbeard, so that's kind of cool to see. One thing that I really enjoy about these Lucci lists now is how many Mancherries we're playing. I've seen people up to 3, up to 4 copies of Mancherry. This card is bonkers. It says, get Rebecca. Mancherry says, get Rebecca. And Rebecca says, do anything. I really like this card. This combo is broken as fuck. I think Bandai will eventually ban Rebecca. Or they'll just power creep the game so far that she's not good anymore. But, man, I think so many cards have been banned and it potentially just should have been Rebecca. She's so cracked. Let's take a quick look over the EBO2 price to see if much has changed. Secret Luffy first. He's still crazy expensive, man. He's clearly dropping sort of slowly over time, but $73 for this is crazy. If you don't have to buy this, please don't. This will surely drop when OP11 comes out, right? Right? I really hope so anyway. Pudding, $17. I think this is about where it was last week, right? Yeah, it doesn't look like it's been a great change. Not since it dropped down from 50 on pre-sale. Some of the other SRs in this set are getting quite expensive, though. I mean, this Vegapunk for $10, man. Yeah, this guy's only gone up since the set came out. And I mean, Vegapunk's a pretty good deck, right? This card's very, very powerful for Vegapunk. But, man, seeing just sort of mid-range of the set SRs for $10 does not fill me with joy. I really hope we see a reprint of this set soon-ish. But we'll see. We'll see. Sengoku, is this actually $30 in the States? Wow. Yeah, these prices are not like this in Europe. I'll tell you that for free. These are crazy. Where's the Enel? Yeah, Enel at 7. It's not so bad. But yeah, these prices are still a little bit crazy for me. We'll see. I guess the print run was just incredibly short on this set. Let's talk about a few OP11 prices that people are starting to buy these cards ready for the set. Sanji is now $40 for a secret rare. I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. Look, this was like 20, 25 for a while now. Before February, this was very low. But yeah, now this is 40 and people are buying, right? 64, 184. I don't see this price dropping a lot, sadly. And this is a 4 of in the blue-purple Luffy deck. There's no replacement for this. This blue-purple Luffy deck is looking like he's going to be one of, if not the most expensive deck ever to buy from no collection. Which is crazy. And a big culprit of this is Mr. 2. So I hope you guys got yours back when they were like 40, even 50 bucks. Man, 75? For a playset of these, that's $300. Man, that's not good. These are about, I think about, what did it work out, about 45 in the EU. So if you have a friend abroad, maybe try and get these exported to you from Europe. You'll probably save quite a lot of money, even with any fees or postage. But yeah, 74 for this is wild. If you just can't afford these and you've got the Sanjis and you want to play Blue Purple Luffy, there are some worse options than One Clay, but in Mirror especially, this guy's just so good because you're playing massive dudes. So he just becomes a massive dude at one point in the game, which is it's pretty good. Here's one that kind of shook me a little bit. $30 for Laboon again. Is this the most expensive he's ever been? No, he hit 40 right when Blackbeard was popping off. That's crazy though. This is nearly as expensive as this card has ever been. It's really good in Lucci though. And looking ahead to OP11, this does seem to be fairly common in Lucci lists still. Comboing with 4-cost Kuzan to have essentially 8 copies of kind of the same card. It's really good card. It's very, very good. Speaking of Sanjis, here's a Sanji that costs $13. Sheesh. I think I highlighted this a while ago when it was around 8. Now it's 13, and this is just going to keep going up. The Purple Luffy takeover is continuing strongly. Black Purple Luffy is also getting buffs now, so... Man, this $13, I hope they reprint this in PRBO2, but that's not for a while. You may just have to bite the bullet. Purple Black Luffy Leader, this is one that's doubled in price. I think this will fall back down unless Purple Black Luffy does actually start seeing success, which, to be honest, who knows? That 6-cost Luffy is pretty hot, so I'd be excited to see that. I think these sort of leaders, if they're leaders that you enjoy before the theme decks are revealed, you need to just buy them. Take the risk. It may drop by a couple bucks, but it may also raise by 25. I don't think $60 is going to stick for this. This will definitely drop to 50. You don't really see meta main set leaders over 50. Looking at cards like Shanks and Blackbeard, they've been sort of around 40 to 60 on release, and then slowly dropping after that. And I don't think Purple Black Luffy will keep this price tag. Also, here's one. This is probably your last chance to get these for a reasonable price. This was down to 8. I've been recommending buying this card for ages. Absolutely ages. This has been on a slow decline, and it's now starting to rise. This is a good card in Blue Purple Luffy. The most recent list from Japan, the winner of the 3v3, was playing 4 of them. This is a secret rare. We've just covered Bon Clay, who admittedly is from EB, but he's 75. Sanji is 40. This is the same rarity as Sanji, admittedly newer though. You're at 10. Just, if you're planning on playing purple decks in the foreseeable future, do yourself a favour, grab yourself a playset of these. For $10, it's a no-brainer. It's so cheap for how good this card is. Now, the card that I just want to shout out is this Momo. If the Yamato deck is good, may well play this Momo. This is just a 5-Don heal. And you can heal like your trigger type characters like the Kikunojo and the Nekomamushi. So this at like 30 cents, if you're a Yamato fan or you might see yourself as a Yamato fan, just pick a playset of these up for like $2. This is an SR from set 6 that hasn't had a reprint in a long time. This wasn't in PRBO1. You never know. If this is good, this could skyrocket. So thank you for watching this week in One Piece. What do you think of those new starter deck cards? Let me know everything in the comments below. Were there any combos that I missed? Some of these cards are incredibly generic, so I'm excited to see if you've come up with anything that I haven't. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.